Hi folks, and thanks for joining. Again, we're back on that little Peter Pan radio, and we're on day number 10. Anyway, when I left off on the cabinet, I had kind of reformed or recreated this quarter round material here using some epoxy based product. Seems to have worked great, so hopefully I won't mess it up. Anyway, the weather is perfect today. I want to take advantage of that and spray some toner lacquer in this area and try to get this color back where it needs to be to match the other side. So let's get started. First thing I'm going to do, you can see when I was doing some sanding, I sanded through in this area. I'm going to just take my graining markers and find one here and just try to take some of these light areas here and blend those back in with the original finish. And I'll be doing the same for just a few areas right down in here. This won't take but just a bit of time, so let me grab the graining markers here. We'll get those rubbed in. We'll get the frog tape out, and I'm going to tape out an area right here and probably just lay a shop towel over this area. I'll lay a shop towel in this area, and I think that's about it. And again, we'll try to aim most of the dye-based toner that I'll use in this area, and then we'll play around with some different toners if necessary to hopefully again be able to match this piece to this piece. Okay, I think I'm going to start out with the honey spice. It's just a little lighter color, and one thing else I'm going to use as well, I'm going to take my iPhone and use my light on the back side, and I found that you can get a better match there under a brighter LED type lighting. So again, I'm just shaking this up here. Let me do that for another moment, and we'll try to put some down here. I'm going to let it on just for a minute. I'm going to just take my finger here and just rub it in. Alright, let's see what we get here. And again, I'm going to go with the grain. We'll let that sit on there just a little bit longer, and then just a light rub. So you can see it without the light, and you can see when I bring the light in on it. I just noticed when I did a little touch up on my zenith, I used something just with a little more red and brown in an area that kind of shows itself now under the right lighting conditions. Okay, that's all I was looking to do, because again, this area that's lighter in this area, again, we'll build that up and kind of feather the toner lacquers back in. Let me just hit this area here as well. Alright, that's what I was after. Let me do the same thing here for this little chip here in the side. And one more spot that I see up here as well, just around this area where just a little bit of the filler itself hit the front side. I've already sanded this flat. Okay, that looks good enough for now. Again, we'll touch that up. Maybe one little bit of touch up right in this area. I just want to hit a few of these areas right here as well. Those areas are just a little bit deep in there, but again, I think the lacquers will fill them in. And again, I haven't used any grain filler at this point, and I may not on this radio. I may just build it up with some lacquer and see if I can fill the pores enough. I'm not really worried about it. Okay. I think that's good enough for now. Let me get everything set up outside, and I'll get this taped out like I was talking about doing. You guys have seen me do that before, so I'm going to just lay some tape here to try to protect the other finish so I don't get too much toner back in the areas here that's already at the right color. And again, I'm going to start out with my lightest dye-based toner first and just see what kind of results we get. I'm going to refer you guys back to the other video where I blended in this piece of quarter round. I'm not going to set up the camera for this section. I'm going to be bouncing back and forth here just between some sunlight and shade to try again to match this piece to the other piece of quarter round. Again, I'm going to start out using the dye-based 100 352 Colonial Maple, and again it's a light walnut, and this has got just a little bit of a reddish tint to it, so hopefully this is all I'll need, and if not, then we'll again blend in just like I did in the other video some of the pigment based toner. So let me go get started, then I'll show an update here in just a bit. Okay, here we have it. I made quick work out of that. Took about, I don't know, 2 or 3 minutes. Anyway, you can see what we've got here. And again, I've hit it with some high gloss. Again, I'm going to knock this way down more to a matte finish when we're done. But the reason I use the clear lacquer after using the toners here that I mentioned, I used just a little bit of the pigment-based Perfect Brown, just a little misty right in this area, but it was to kind of melt the toners together. So those areas, again, I tried to blend these areas together here. And let's see, this is still just a little bit wet. And the same thing here. That's showing up right in this area. So I couldn't ask for a better match. And check out the false grain lines in the epoxy. I'll have to remember that trick for the next go. It looks like real wood. And I'll try to show a picture-in-picture in the sunlight as well under some different lighting conditions. Here's the other side, just for comparison. Alright, let's move along, and maybe I do have time after some lunch here to do just a little bit more on the electronics side.